Let's get real. Are you ready? It's time. Welcome to Let's Get Real Chattin with Catherine, the online chat show where we discuss everything physical, metaphysical, practical, magical, social, and political, and everything in between. This is an opportunity for guests to share their unique gifts, talents, insights, wisdom, and knowledge through this interview process with the listeners. We are not a medical advice show, so if you have a medical concern, please seek appropriate medical care. Please use discernment and decide for yourself if the information presented is for you. This is a production of Catherine Publishing exclusively. Copyright protected. No part may be altered or used or sold in any way without the written permission of Catherine Publishing. To find out how to sponsor a show, contact the publisher at cathpublish@wildroseinternet.ca. Okay, that should cover all the business end of the show. Now let's get real and have some fun. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is good for you. This is Catherine from Let's Get Real Chattin with Catherine. And I've got a really great video here today with Rose Sangregorio. Rose has been a guest previously, and we did a YouTube video, and you can go back and listen to it to get all the goods on what Rose does and how she channels and how she came to her gifts and the works. I'm telling you, she's an awesome, awesome woman. And I would just want to tell you a little bit about her right now. Rose Sangregorio is the founder of and the director of the Metaphysical Center of Canada Corporation. Rose is an author. She's an international speaker, a holistic healer. She's a teacher, an intuitive spiritual advisor. Since 1994, Rose has been coaching people in their spiritual journeys and worldwide in this non-dualistic spiritual understanding and personal development. She is amazing. She's an international, she has an international client base, and they have recognized her as a clear channel. She's a gifted healer and inspirational teacher. She does workshops, she has books, she has meditation CDs, the works. And I know she's going to be doing some this weekend, which is the long weekend in August 29th, 2012, around there. So check out her website for all the information on how you can connect with Rose, because she's got some amazing things. Let me see. Her website is www.metaphysicalcenter, CENTER of Canada.com. It's also on Let's Get Real Chattin with Catherine.com website on the guest page, and you can get more info about her. But today, I really want to get into this whole concept of this new paradigm shift. What's going on this planet? And I think Rose is just the one to give us the goods. So let's go. Let's get into this with her. Let's get real. Chatting with Catherine. All right, so welcome to Let's Get Real Chatting with Catherine and my guest, Rose Sangregorio. And we are going to get into some interesting conversations about the metaphysical, because Rose Sangregorio is the founder of the Metaphysical Center of Canada. And welcome this morning, Rose.
Hi. To you and to everyone who's listening.
Yeah, it's an interesting time to be on planet Earth, wouldn't you say?
Definitely, definitely. We're going through some very interesting times, very exciting times, and transformational. Very transformational, yeah.
Well, and the thing is, in the work that you do, and if for people who are not familiar with Rose's work, check out the previous video I did. It's on YouTube with Rose, and where she explains how she came to her gifts and all about what she does as far as channeling and the metaphysical understandings. Go back to that, because we don't want to repeat ourselves too much today, because there's lots to talk about.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time, and this summer you've been kind of traveling all over the world, really, and actually you travel all over the world all the time, don't you, Rose?
Yes, we travel a lot to Denmark. I've got quite a few classes that I do in Denmark, and this year we went for the first time into Norway. And I have been traveling around the world teaching and doing my lectures, and we do trips, we do spiritual guided journeys that I call pilgrimages. And that also takes us to different parts of the world.
Why do you suppose it is that there's so much interest in this kind of work, the work you do at this time? Because I would guess about maybe 10, 20 years ago, I guess, probably you wouldn't have been able to do what you're doing today. Or there wouldn't have been the response. Would you say that? Something's changed?
A lot has changed in about the last, basically from the mid-1990s is when things really started to expand and grow. And from that point until now, it's like a mushroom effect. We've had more and more and more people that have been awakened. I call it awakened. Not that we've been asleep. We still have lived our lives and we've all been doing what we do. But it's just from about the mid-90s that more and more people have come to the realization that, you know, there's more to life than meets the eye. There's more to life than just getting up and going to work. And there's more to life than, you know, doing what I'm doing. So people are feeling this, I call it an awakening of the soul, of the spirit within. And that's that sense of, yeah, there's a bigger picture here. And I don't know how I fit in. I don't know how I'm part of it. But at the same time, I can sense that there's something there. And so what it's creating for many people is that beginning of a quest. And that quest of the spirit, it would be what it is. And so that quest is where people have started to explore, like they've become aware of yoga, maybe Tai Chi, what else? Qigong. Those are things that a lot of people have become aware of that definitely 15, 20 years ago, we didn't even know what some of those things were.
Even there was like Reiki and stuff like that. That wasn't very you know. Energy, even understanding energy, that we have this energy and that it can be used and it can be blocked and it can be manipulated and all of that really wasn't.
You know, Reiki is an excellent example because when I started doing my work with people, for me, I've never really advertised. It's only been in the last maybe year and a half that I've started to advertise on a more global level, if you will. Because up until about a year and a half ago, and even now still, it's mostly by word of mouth. And when I started working, as I talked about in my last video with you, for me it just came naturally. And so word started to spread that I could do what I do. And at that time, and we're talking 1995-ish that I started to work. Then in 1997, I kept getting this question because, of course, remember, this is word of mouth. People aren't aware of what energy work is. They're not aware. They're thinking of the psychic realm. It's kind of woo out there. And so I had been working with people already for a number of years. And people kept asking me, well, what kind of training do you have? And now it's easier to say, people will accept more that, you know, it just happened for me. This is gifts that I came in with. I buried them for most of my life, and then they just were opened up to me because of circumstances in my life. And so I decided at that time to see if I could take something so that I could tell people I've been trained in this. And so I took Reiki. But to find out not only about Reiki or to find someone who was teaching Reiki at that time, I ended up finding a woman. It took me quite a while. She came from Prince George. And I took this course and I took the Reiki. And Reiki for me enhanced what I was already doing. And I love Reiki. But in those days, so we're talking 1997, I took it in 97, I can remember you didn't tell people you did energy work. You didn't tell people you did Reiki unless someone mentioned something that could kind of segue into, yeah, I can do energy work. So I am a Reiki master. I teach lots of Reiki classes because I find that it's the door, it's the opening to the whole metaphysical world for most people. It allows people to accept that they can be a vehicle for this energy to work through them, to help others and to help themselves.
Well, it's interesting, too, that there are still some people today who are afraid to talk about what they do. There is still a bit of a stigma. But I also find it interesting that, as you say,
we're looking for that validation, that external validation, a degree, something behind your name, something to say. Somebody else said you were an authority. We used to have, there was a lot of that as our parents' generation, my generation even. You had to go to university, college, whatever, to say to prove to someone else you knew things, and then have this degree to say that you did. Where I think there's a lot of people who are starting to clue in that not that it's not still have a value, because there is a value in the learning process, but that there is value in the experience of life and the sacred gifts that we have. And instead of saying you have to have someone else validate you, we're starting to get it ourselves, at least, that I don't need a degree to say that I'm a speaker. Guess what? I speak. You know, that's what I do, right? So it's interesting that we've shifted to more of us starting to see that, okay, when you say that you do certain things, I'm intrigued instead of suspicious. I think that's a shift.
And no fear. Because I remember when I first started, with the Reiki, even Reiki, it wasn't talked about. It was sort of like under the radar kind of thing. And so it's changed so much, because most people have heard about energy healing, have heard about energy work, and they've heard about Reiki. Most people. And with all our traveling, I can remember being in India in the year 2000, and I went into this little shop in New Delhi. And in this shop, I walked in, and they typically have these altars in their shops for the gods to bless, what their product is, and the people that come, and to help them be abundant.
Right.
And there they had a picture of the Reiki symbols, and I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. So I asked the guy, I said, those are Reiki symbols. Do you do Reiki? And he goes, well, no, I don't, but my mom does, and she put them up in the store for me to bring me good luck. And I thought, well, here we are, this, in India, and this is 2000. Here, people had Reiki symbols already. So what I'm finding is, traveling around the world, Reiki seems to be a kind of a green light, open door for people to sort of step into that metaphysical world, that spiritual world, that seems to be a little bit sort of, I don't know, not scary, but like you say, intriguing, but, do I really want to step in there? So it seems to be huge change in 15 years when I first took Reiki versus today.
So Reiki sort of opens the door. It's like a safe place. You can step through, and you never know where you're going. Yeah. Once you have a conversation with someone, it's like, oh, you do Reiki? Yes. And then you're allowed to go further. It's almost like a little bit of a permission in relationship.
It's permission. Yes, it's like a permission. And so what I have seen at this point, especially now in the last probably 5 years, almost like an explosion of people seeking, and for various reasons. Sometimes it's through life's challenges. Someone's had maybe a death in the family, or the loss of a marriage, the loss of a job, the loss of the identity they had attached to that job. And so sometimes it's through an event like that. And sometimes it is definitely through maybe someone's had a dream that sort of, wow, that wasn't really a dream, that was more. And so what's happening is more and more people are opening to these potentials that are out there, that they can be more than what they are. And through this explosion, and of course here on Earth we've had all kinds of traumatic things happen in the last 15 years. Mm-hmm. And through those world events, we have had a global or a collective awakening of people saying, I want us to have world peace. I want us to have a global understanding of each other. I want us to have more harmony and cooperation, collaboration with the people not only here in my family, but in my community, in my country, in other countries. So what's actually been happening, especially the last 5 years, is this huge awakening of people realizing, I don't want it just for me anymore. I want this for the common good. I want it for the greater good of all. And so this is shifting. That's a very spiritual mindset. It's not religious. This is spiritual. The essence of our being, whether we call it our soul, our atma, our divine light, whatever we call that, we all have that common thread, that common energy that connects all of us. And we're all feeling it. I'm going to say all. Maybe there's some that don't feel it quite as a conscious thing,
Right.
but I believe that more and more people are feeling this consciously and saying, you know, I want more a global family. I want more unity and harmony. And this is where, with people's coming to this realization that we want more than what we've had, to be spiritually aware, to be spiritually connected, to be in oneness. What has happened is it's starting to push the envelope of the old paradigms that we've carried until now. And it's starting to push us beyond where we've been complacent in our old selves. And we are moving. I mean, most people know that December 12, 2012, the solstice of December 2012 is a big event on Earth. Now, how big of an event? Is the Earth going to disappear? No. Are people going to die all over the place? No. Are we going to have catastrophes? No. But what we are going to have, based on planet alignments and our solar system, our galactic system, what is happening is through all these planetary alignments and these energies that are starting to work together here on Earth, we can change the world as we knew it to a whole new world and have a whole new beginning. And so that would be different for every person. My new world could be different than your new world. But the common thread would be the sense of unity and harmony with each other and with all beings.
Right.
And I feel that's what's coming, and that's why people are opening on a more global level.
Well, I was wondering, because years ago, we as a collective tended to just take information given to us. If, somebody told us, this is our enemy over here, this is what it looks like, and we're under threat, and our security is under threat, and so we need to go over and destroy this enemy. People said, okay, let's do it. We all kind of, like World War II, or, you think about those kinds of events, it was like, they didn't have the media that we have today. So people just said, okay, there's a threat. We need to come together to fight this common threat. Where now, when we hear somebody's an enemy, somebody's a this, we tend to be more like, why are they our enemy? What is happening? We're not as quick to accept the portrayals of the monster. Like, we tend to, we want to know more. How is that person living over there? What is their government like? Where do they eat? Where do they get water? We want to know these people, as opposed to, in the past, I feel like people didn't want to know. It was a monster. It wasn't human. It made it easier to destroy, annihilate, ruin a country because they had no real awareness. Whereas now we have more global travel. We have people like you. You were in India, so you've seen the people. So it would be harder for people to sort of buy into this belief that other human beings are monsters. So we've shifted collectively, and it feels like now that we kind of see our brother and sister on the planet, we see the planet, like it's like we've opened our eyes to seeing and now we want to know, what can we do about this then? Because like you say, a lot of people have that, maybe we can live differently, maybe we could share, maybe we could do, we're starting to say, what if? And then it feels like it's almost like this propels us forward to say, okay, what else is possible? If that wasn't true, that was a big lie. They aren't monsters, they're human beings, they have loves and likes and needs and whatever, just like me. So now we want to know them. and we don't want to destroy them. So if we don't want to destroy them, we must be wanting to live in harmony with them. We need more tools. Because I feel like that's what it's like we've got this desire, but we have no idea how to do it.
Yes.
Are you finding that people in the other countries that you're visiting, you know, because you're from Canada, so you have this awareness of Canadian beliefs and understandings, then you go to other places, do you feel like it's the same? We all have the same?
I would put it in a little bit different manner, in that everywhere we've been, and we've been to almost every country in the world now.
Wow.
Through one event or another.
Right.
And so what we have noticed is a common thread, and we've literally never had issues with the people when we go into the country. But what we do is we allow ourselves, we are who we are, but we're in their country. We have to respect their country and their customs and their laws. And we respect the people. And what we have found is we make friends with people wherever we go. And when you make friends with them, you get to know what they're really about. And what we have found is a common thread, no matter where we have been, everyone wants the best they can have in their lives.
Right.
Everyone wants the best for their children and their family.
Right.
Everyone, to some degree, no matter how small it is, there's some that have a larger desire, want this connection to their God or to their higher source. And this seems to be collective around the world. And this is our common thread. What we have also found when we travel is that spiritually, we're not talking religion. I'm not saying, okay, I'm Christian and you're Muslim and we got to try and get together here. No. What I'm saying is we honor each other in whatever our beliefs are and our customs are. And what we've found is it opens the door. And because of that, you get to talk to these people. And you know what? We all want the same thing. We all want unity and harmony. We all want cooperation around the world with each other. We all want collaboration, that we can all work together and collaborate for a greater good and a common good. And just because our beliefs are different, we can still use those threads to connect ourselves and say, okay, so now how can we take our desires that are similar but slightly different because of our culture and our customs and our religious beliefs? How can we take that common thread and put it so that we can all adjust to bringing the best of everything we have together to create a better world? And I believe that this is what's happening through all the people who travel so much, and the awareness that we're getting by the traveling, and the awareness of through exposure of television and technological advances, we are being, and the social media, we are being opened up to a consciousness that our forefathers never were able to do. And we are realizing more and more and more that, you know what, we all want the same thing. So if we all want the same thing, honoring our differences and allowing those differences to be the I'm going to say the cornerstone of all that we create on this planet, then how can we make this a win-win situation for everyone? And what's happening is people are starting to realize this, but they don't know how to do it. Like you said, you know, how do I do this? Mm-hmm. How do I get rid of my judgments, not only of myself, but of others? Yes. How do I get rid of my sense of fear? Because we have been bombarded with these thoughts of other, you know, and that's the way it was in the past. We've been bombarded with these thoughts that these guys are the bad guys. You know, we can't trust anybody from that country. We need to make them our enemy. And so what's happened through all our social media and television, etc., is it's allowing us to make our own decisions and saying, you know what? I think there's more here. We don't have to make them our enemies. What can we do to adjust ourselves so that we can be friends?
Well, I think that the whole, well, this has been my experience with fear, is that we always fear, as human beings, we always fear what we don't know. And as more people are getting to know other people and, you know, really getting, like you say, getting that understanding that oh, they have a similar like, and we're finding our commonalities more than we're finding our differences. We have differences that we respect, like you say, but we also have this commonality. And for me, that is really transforming fear with love and compassion into real freedom. Because then I'm free to choose myself and to know more. I know more, I fear less. And that's what I feel like is it's the same with the metaphysical even understandings. As I know more, I fear less, and then I find tools, you know, to use. But to me, what you're speaking to is that everybody just wants to matter. Like that connect. When you're talking about the connection to source, we all want to know, kind of like that we matter. That we're just not a random thing that is here. We want to know that, for more than anything, that God, whatever God you want to call it, knows us, or that we have a connection to God. And when we have the interaction with each other, we're looking at each other's eyes and we're saying, you matter. And that to me is a reflection of, that's God working through me saying, you know, it's like, I don't know how to explain it better, but it's like Spirit is speaking through me when I see you. And then or when you see me, it's like, I know I matter. And it feels like that's what you're doing. You're through your gifts, and as you travel the world, and then coming back here and sharing this with me, you're saying, yeah, these people are real, and they have hopes and dreams just like we do, and you're able to cross the bridge because it's not a political, it's not a social movement, it's a spiritual understanding that we all have in common.
Yes.
Wow.
So going back to the question of, you know, what's happening now on Earth,
please.
Is that through all of this, what we've just talked about, people are coming to this awareness that, you know, what if we could live on this planet in harmony? What if we can actually be happy and not have judgments and not have fear? I mean, fear is an interesting word, and it's an interesting energy, because fear is created, as you said, through not understanding something, or if it's something new that we don't know, we're suspicious of. But fear is also sometimes very valid in things that have happened to us in the past that have created within us a belief system. Mm-hmm. And so when we realize that we all want the same thing, we are now letting go of this huge fear of each other and a huge judgment, and we're letting go of a lot of the concepts that were given to us from our past. Mm-hmm. And now we can deal with ourselves. And mm-hmm. where do I fear whatever in my life? And as I can handle and open the door to allowing the bigger picture stuff not to be a problem and not to be fearful of, that fear within myself that I've created through events that have happened to me, I can actually convert that into energy that doesn't stop me from being all that I can be, but that same energy can be used to help me be more of who I can be. Because it's no longer fear, it becomes love.
Right.
Because when there is no fear, there is only love.
Yes, you can't have both in the same space.
Pardon me?
You can't have both in the same space.
Well, you can. You can have the essence of both energies together in that space of love and fear. But then the question becomes, which one is the stronger force? And so what I'm witnessing through the people that come to my classes, that come to my lectures, my healing nights, what I am witnessing is the force of love at this time is way stronger than the force of fear. And when the two sit together, what happens is, by the laws of the universe, the fear, which is of a lower frequency, starts to shift into love of the higher frequency. It's just a law of physics. the lower frequency shifts to the higher frequency, or whichever one is the stronger force. And so what I'm witnessing is that as we go through all the different things that we do in the classes and the lectures, what I'm witnessing is people's fear is present. But through the love that is brought through what we do and what we access through the channelings, and what happens is that fear exists, but it starts to slowly dissolve. So now we no longer have to beat it or stuff it or destroy it, because you can't destroy energy, you can only change it. And so what we're doing is, by allowing the fear to just be there, but letting the love energy, the compassion to be stronger, that fear just dissolves. It just becomes a non-issue, and it absorbs into the love, and it becomes love.
Well, so, I wanted to ask you, because as we, you're talking about, we have this understanding, we get an understanding that is bigger, and we start to know things, but like you're talking about the fears of the past, maybe even generational, that were held, the beliefs and all that kind of stuff. So is it enough just to know? Can we get there? Or is that why there's this metaphysical movement going on, this new energy work and stuff? Is it because we can't let it, how am I saying this? We can't let it go when it's held in ourselves without doing something to heal it in ourselves. Because you take a shower, you take a bath, you wash your skin and whatever, and maybe you're looking at somebody and you're saying, I don't want to fear you. I want to know you. Do we still hold the fear in ourselves? Is that why that we're doing so much Reiki work? Is that why this is happening?
Oh boy, there's a huge understanding that needs to occur, that when I have a thought, it's energy. When I have a feeling, it's energy. When I have a thought, the two always come together. We think we don't feel, but that's because we've suppressed or stuffed or numbed the feelings. But thoughts and feelings together create our emotions. Okay? So that's energy. But what happens is that energy that we create through our thoughts, feelings, and emotions penetrate into our physical form.
Okay.
And there's a huge teaching around how that happens. But to do it on a live show like this would take a long time. So it's just, people will just have to trust. That's what happens. That energy converts into our physical body into matter. And when it converts into our physical body into matter, it affects the vibration of the cells, atoms, molecules, electrons, protons, all of that stuff that composes our physical body in matter. What happens is then that vibration is what the cell, I'm going to call it a cell, but I'm meaning all of that. What happens is those energies of thought, feelings, emotions start to become part of the cell's vibration, which then starts to affect the physical makeup, which creates illness and dis-ease. Mm-hmm. And so we can change the energy of the thoughts, we can change the energy of the feelings, we can change the energy of the emotions. And yes, they will penetrate into the physical, into the cells. But there's something that starts to happen. If I only change it energetically, the cells are still vibrating in that old energy because they haven't received the transformation yet. So it can, over time, recreate the energy in the auric field or in my consciousness. Mm-hmm. Because I haven't completely cleared all the layers of the issue. And so what ends up happening is we can't just work on one level. We can't just spiritually connect and assume the light's going to come in. Because as I said, the power of the light, which is the unconditional love of the divine, the power of the light will absorb and transform anything other than love. But it takes time. And so when it comes in and you're meditating and you're bringing it into your body, you still have to change the physical makeup. You still have to change, or what we can call it, the psychological. Because so we have a physical vehicle that carries it in our cells. Then we have the psychological part, which are our actual thoughts, feelings, emotions. And we have the spiritual part that we choose by the nature of choosing those thoughts and feelings that are not of pure love. We choose to separate ourselves from the divine. So we've got, I call them like 3 layers. There's actually many more layers, but to make it simple, there's 3 layers. So we can't just work on one and the others follow suit. Because what happens is we still live in our lives. We still have interaction with people around us. And so we can re-trigger the old patterns. So to be able to really shift things, we need to also not only learn the connection to spirit or to our God, but we also need to learn, okay, what is the psychological piece of this? And okay, where in my physical body do I need to change the cellular structure, vibration, so that now I have the complete wholeness of the healing versus the incomplete.
That's what I was wondering. It's not enough to change, just to say I've read a book or I've learned something different. It's not enough, and that's the reason I'm thinking that this has come to such an awareness, such an awakening. So many more people are recognizing, okay, I've changed that part and I've changed that part, but my life hasn't changed. And until they change the cell memory reprogram, then we're not going to see different. But people do want different. So we're desiring different, and we're seeing where the path leads, and that's the metaphysical work. That is kind of bringing more health and vibration so that we can manifest this new world, which is what most people are, or not most, a lot of people are hoping for, is to create a new paradigm, as they call it.
Yes, yes. And, you know, everything that I do, all my meditations, all my classes, brings the 3 parts together, because I feel it's the fast track. Like, I mean, you can do any one of those parts, but at some point you actually hit the wall and you can't go any further until you incorporate the other parts. So whether it's spiritual, to live in this life, we still have to do the psychological and the physical. So you can't do any part without the whole. So everything that I teach, everything that I do is based on the whole. We do all 3 layers.
Right.
What's happening on Earth right now is because of the alignments of the stars and the planets. I mean, we've had more solar flares than we've ever had in history, and solar storms. These are all indications that our universe is changing. And yes, it's always changing. Our universe is constantly in change and flux, and it's growing. But as within, so without. And as our universe is changing, so are we inside. And these solar flares that we've had over the last, I don't know, 5-6 months that have been quite active, not only have they affected our technological stuff, our technological things, like we're having communication problems. And what they're doing is they're affecting our physical systems as well, because we're made up of electromagnetic energy. And so even if we want to say, oh, well, I don't believe in that stuff, well, it's happening. You know, things are changing. The planets are doing different things than they've ever done before. The Venus transit that we had in June, I mean, we've had alignments. There's an alignment coming up in December that comes every almost 3,000 years, just about 2,500 years, where there's different planets placed over the 3 pyramids in Giza, and they just sit above the 3 pyramids in Giza. And so all these alignments are creating energy. And what is happening for us is we are feeling this energy. We are being given an opportunity to make a choice that, you know what, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to change my life, my paradigm. I'm ready to change everything about me. And it's happening globally. And so we're we're witnessing right now a lot of these changes through the financial systems collapsing because they have to change. We need to have financial shifting occur. We need to have our technological things shift. Education, government, health systems. These are all systems we've seen in the last few years having major issues because they have to change. And so because of these energies that are supporting us, helping us to change ourselves, we can then turn around and change the world. The statement, be the change you want to see in the world, is exactly what we're talking about. Because if I'm not okay with me, how can I ever be okay with you? How can I ever be okay with people around me? So it begins with me, but it's also not only about me. It's about me and my interaction with others and in this world. So as we are moving through this time frame, what is happening is we are being triggered to look at things within ourselves that are no longer necessary to carry, which we've already talked about, and we are being triggered or pushed, if you will, or activated to seeing what is it within me that allows me to stay separate from all I can be, that allows me to stay separate from my true divine self. And to do that, I have to look at my spiritual connection. I have to look at my psychological makeup, and I have to look after my physical body. I'm not saying that, oh, if you have MS, it's going to disappear. It might. But what I'm saying is, if you have MS, it's okay too. Then look for what is the learning and the lesson here. If you have whatever you have, it's not about we're all going to be happy and we're all going to have one consciousness and we're all going to be exactly the same, one religion. That's not what this is about. This is about each one of us as individual and unique, and to bring to the table of our world the gifts that each one of us carries as an individual, a community, a nation. And I mean, it's like coming together and accepting that these are the good things about all of us. But to get there, we have to clear all these layers. Mm-hmm. So to just do one thing is not going to work. And I know that. I've been doing this now for a lot of years. And we can't just change by changing our thoughts. Yes, you can over a long period of time. But we're on the fast track. We need to do it as soon as possible, as fast as possible, so that we can, because we're being propelled by our universal source and the universe itself, the planets, and etc. And they're moving us energetically into this new paradigm. But we have to clean out our closets, and we have to.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that. Like, it's a free will planet, so you have a choice. But the thing is, the energy is moving us. It's propelling us. So you're either going kicking and screaming or you're going with ease and grace. So it's about your choice, but we're going. It's like the train is going and you're on it. You were saying about propelling, the universe is propelling us forward. And what I was saying is it's a free will planet, but we get to choose, but it's like we get to choose to get on the train, but the train is going. Or, you know, we have a choice of how we get on the train, but the train is going and you're on it. So it's up to you whether you want to go with ease and grace or you want to go kicking and screaming and fighting it all the way. Like, it's happening. It's like you can't deny gravity. Like you said, the changes are happening. We're on the train. So it's not whether we are going to roll this way and that, you know, as a train goes down the track. It's whether you're going to go and say, wee, I love it, or you're going to say, this is freaking me out. So what you're saying is, it's happening, but there's tools that can make it easier.
I do agree with you. The train is going. We're all on this train. How we choose to be on the train is a choice we get to make, and it's free will choice. And through our free will choice, we can choose to change that fear into love, if you will, because that's how we placed it into this conversation. And we can do it with ease and grace. Or we can take that fear and allow it to overpower and take over, because it's through free will choice. The unconditional love is there. It's there to help us change. It's there to help us transform. But if we choose, we do have free will choice. If I choose to stay in my fear because I like to be in it, then no matter what the divine does or people around me do, that fear will be prevalent. But what I do know is because of the amount of people that are shifting their consciousness, are moving to this higher place of truly accepting everyone around them. And I have to say, we try, right? Not everyone's 100% there. But because of that, there's so many people choosing this new way that the ones who are trying to stay in the old are having to fight tooth and nail to be able to hold on to their old energies. And this is why we're witnessing so many of these radical fundamentalist things going on our planet. Because energetically, we are changing. Our world is changing. We are being transformed as we speak. The electromagnetic field that makes up our physical form is being vibrationally changed. So we are in it. But if we choose to not go with it with ease and grace, then we are going to have trauma. And how do we fight with trauma? We try to fight it. We try to fight and say, wow, you're doing it this way, you're the bad guy. And so this is what's happening. But I feel on a global level, things are changing. I've seen it because in some places we go to, we'll go like 5-6 years later, we see the changes.
That's
and
right.
it's happening. Whether we like it or not, whether we admit it or not, things are changing.
Yeah.
And so we can join the ride and have fun and enjoy it, or we can join the ride and scream our heads off and fight it. It's our choice.
So, Rose, can you tell us what you believe is happening right now?
Okay. Last night we had an evening meditation and I brought through some messages. So what I'd like to have people know is when I work, I bring through different masters. And you can call them saints, you can call them ascended masters. Different teaching calls them different. But there was a message that I received a while back to explain what's going on Earth right now in a way that helps us understand more concretely. So in March, I know we're going back a ways, in March during the equinox, there was an energetic portal opening. And we can call it a portal, or we can just say that it was an energy that was brought to us that was a stronger force than what we've ever had on Earth before. I call it a portal. That was the beginning of our moving into what everyone is talking about with regards to December 2012, that we're going to move into a whole new paradigm, a whole new world, the Hopi teachings, the Mayan calendar. So in March was sort of like the beginning piece of this year where the energies really started to move for us. What was described to me at that time, and last night they added a little piece to it, was that, when a baby is born into this world, there is the moment from the actual moment of birth to when it takes its first breath. There's that pause of time. And so if you can imagine that the equinox in March, that portal opening, it's like we were birthed as a collective consciousness to a new world, a new paradigm. But we are in that moment of being born and taking the first breath. That first breath is about the time of the December 12, 2012. Okay?
Right.
So the point of time between March to December has been literally the energies sort of aligning and creating the opportunity for us as individuals to take that first breath in our new world or in our new lives. So we stay in our bodies, but on an energetic level, it's a whole new beginning. And so how it was described, this actually came from Lord Buddha. How he described it was that he said these months in between are a gift to us on earth, that we can make the choices of what do we create for the new beginning. So what we carry within and around us from our past, our ancestors, all of that, what we carry, we can actually choose to transform. And so our world, our planets, the energies are helping us at this point to transform everything that we carry within ourselves and around us to being a clean slate. And he calls it being neutral, to be neutral in all aspects of a situation. So it's okay if it's this way, and it's okay if it's the opposite way. I am neutral. And within my neutrality, I am able to then choose the action I want to do based on the neutrality to serve the highest and greatest good of all. And so what he said is, in these months, each month has its own sort of moon cycle of energy, and we just moved into a blue moon. It's very interesting, you know, when we pick the date, we're in a blue moon right now.
Yes.
And this blue moon cycle moving through, we're going to be going through the equinox of September to the next moon. What is happening is, in this cycle, we are being given the opportunity to really shift within ourselves that energy of the bully and the victim. And that energy of the bully and the victim is the ability to recognize, where do we become a bully? Where do we become a victim? Where do we, in our actions, manipulate for power or manipulate because of fear? So this whole month is going to be a month of bringing to the surface this energy of the bully and the victim.
Wow.
And so we were told, and this was through Kuan Yin last night, that this month is very important in helping us to choose, if you will, the high path, the neutral path, the path of the greater good of all, in service to everyone. And if we can do that, we are strengthening our energy field. Now, in the metaphysical world, we call it the light body. We strengthen our light body on a solar and a galactic level so that we can bring in our new universal selves at the end of this year, moving into the new year. And so here we are, we're ready to take our breath. And when that baby is born, it's born with a clean slate. Yes, it brings in karma, it has its past life influences, but it is born with a clean slate until it chooses to take on these things. And so we are being given this opportunity to be born into a new paradigm and a new system. And what do we choose to take with us?
Wow, this is fantastic.
So it's really important in these next few months to very much look at, where do I stay neutral and where am I not neutral? And try your best. That's all we can do, is do our best to be as neutral as possible in all instances, so that when the moment happens, which is the alignments in December, we will be able to align ourselves to our purest essence of connection to the divine. Whatever that means for each one of us is going to be different.
Wow, this is amazing.
What's going on?
Can you tell people before we conclude, how could you have some tools people can use? Can you let people know what tools you have?
What tools I have? I mean, I've had people say this to me, and I believe this is what I strive to do, is to take the metaphysical and the spiritual and make it into meat and potatoes, like make it into something that's easy to understand, concrete understanding, like I just explained how this time period is about. So all my classes are designed that way, to help you intellectually, because we need to understand things. That's who we are as humans. We like to understand things. We need to make it logical. We need to have structure. So I teach in a way that gives you understanding. And from understanding, we have wisdom. once we have that, then I work with people in helping them understand the psychological pieces and what needs to change in that, and I help people change that. I mean, I don't do it. They do it themselves. I'm the facilitator to help them do it. And then we work on the physical level, and whatever that means is whatever happens in that moment. And so when I work with people, how I bring it through is I take this great awareness, I bring it here to this world, make it concrete, and then we take it back to the great awareness. Because when you have the concrete understanding and you've shifted your energy physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, when you can do that and open to your divine self, then you can be in your body, in your life, with ease and grace. Right. And you're not fighting the system.
Exactly. But you do have a book that helps people. And you do have seminars.
I used to teach, we used to call them boot camp. They were classes on ascension and understanding spirituality, metaphysics, and the mechanics of how it works in our physical world. Okay. The book is full of a lot of tools. People find it extremely helpful. They use it more as a workbook rather than a book that you just read. And the book is available online on our website. And if you go onto the website, you should be able to see where the e-store is and you can get the book. It is available in Danish and it is available in English. We're just now doing our 3rd printing for Denmark. And we're going to be doing a 2nd printing soon for the English books. My plan is to write another book soon. So that's my plan. But of course, it's divine timing and orchestrated by the divine. So I am sort of in the works of writing another book. And I do have workshops and lecture evenings and healing nights coming up, specifically because this is coming up this coming weekend for anyone who hears this right away. We'll be in Swift Current doing a healing night. Oh, wow. And those healing nights you can show up in person or you can sign up and pay and you get a healing anyway, as if you are there in person. If you call us and you want to sign up, my assistant will get an email to you to explain how the process works. And then Friday night is a lecture evening in Moose Jaw. And then the weekend, I'm teaching a 3-day intensive. It's an amazing, amazing workshop. We talk about spirituality, metaphysics, and the groundwork of what creates us to have the personalities we do and how we can shift that personality. And you get a very unique tool that you can take home and work with at the end of the 3 days. It's a 3-day workshop. It is intense and intensive. It's held in Moose Jaw. And it's called Tools to Open and Anchor Your Spiritual Presence. And then if you look on our website, there's all kinds of events coming up. There is a weekend at the beginning of December that's called Intimate Encounter with the Angels. And it's very experiential. You get to understand angels and the different hierarchies and how they fit into the picture along with all the different levels of creation. Wow. And then you get to experience the archangels of the 12 rays as a one-on-one through meditation. And then the counterpart to that class is the first weekend of January, which is Intimate Encounter with the Masters. And those are held in Calgary. So if they go to the website, you can see what events are coming up and who to call and nice. How to sign up. So
thank you, Rose. That's fabulous. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you talking to us.
So thank you, Catherine, and thank you to everyone who's listening to this, and I hope to see some of you in person. Let me know if you heard me on this video, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you. And Catherine, thank you so much for opening this up as an opportunity for me.
Oh, you're very welcome, Rose. It's my pleasure, absolutely my pleasure. I really appreciate it.
Let's get real. Are you ready? It's time.